Okay,
So,
that's
what are
enough
we
of that.
talking about today? I just can't tell.
Alvin! That's my wife yelling me or my mom. I'm getting
I wonder
PTSD.
if that's why your mom named you Elvin, because you were
Alvin!
such what an
As a
iconic opening.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mighty Mornings. As you can see on the screen, we are going to be talking about Alvin and the Chipmunks. No, not me and a bunch of rodents in my hands. Um, wow. Okay, it was my turn, I guess, to pick, and I was sitting there thinking that's a good show that I just can't, that I put in the back of my memory bank, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Alvin and the Chipmunks. Oh,
It
there
was
we go.
such an iconic opening. And it's funny because there's two different versions. There's one where they're bouncing along the letters Chipmunk. Look, mom, I can spell. Um,
Your mom is always proud of you,
yeah. Darn it, I
even
could have went to a funny dark place, but I didn't.
no, don't do that.
No.
Keep it good. Keep it gravy. Um, man, okay. What a iconic IP, right?
It's honestly, it's funny because we're gonna delve into the
The nitty
story
gritty,
on
yeah,
how it
the nitty gritty.
started. It's amazing when we get one of these cartoons and we haven't realized that it's been around for so long. And then, as we grow up, we do a little more research and I'm like, that's pretty cool. It makes you have more appreciation for it. And it kind of reintroduces it into your life, You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
No, I hear you. It's it's one of
Yeah.
these IPs that you kind of like forget about, and then somebody brings it up, and you're like, oh my god, all this flood of remembering the show enters your brain, and you're like, oh, I remember this episode, I remember that character. Is like it just floods in, right? And that's what it was for me when I was deciding on what we should pick. And then immediately when it hit my mind to pick this, I was like, oh, I remember sitting down watching this. I remember that character. Like it just hits you like a ton of bricks, right?
Or not only that, it's like you're walking around. I don't know why. You know how when it just pops in your mind or you're hearing a song and it's just like, oh my God, I remember that. And I know it's weird and slightly off topic, but for some odd reason, I had the commercial for Totally Hair Barbie only because the theme song in the commercial sounds like the Alanis Morissette song, Never Too Hot, Never Too Cold, do 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 do. And I'm like, that sounds like Totally Hair Barbie commercial. But I'm like, get back to the topic. It's just how random your mind works, how something pops in, and you're like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. And then you're like, I kind of want to watch that now.
Well, growing up, it was, when we got introduced to the animation as, in the 80s, and my name being Alvin, I was like constantly asked in school, is it, do you love Alvin and the Chipmunks? I'm like, shut up. I just want to just slap people, right? It's not even the same spelling. Get it right. But I was, to answer your question, I was not named after the Chipmunks, sadly. Otherwise, my letter will be an A in front. I was not named after that. So,
But your mom
yeah, my
wanted to
name
be
has nothing.
different. So she's like,
Yeah. What a brown chipmunk. They're all brown chipmunks, stupid. No,
just like my name's Christopher and it's spelled with a K.
it's not. It's not. Stop trying to do that.
No.
No, so my name is not because of the chipmunks, sadly. But it was annoying in school. It really was. I was just like, oh my god, like how there's people out there who try to be funny, and it just like
Yes.
it's not funny. It's getting tiresome. Like you've asked me this like 10 times already this year. right? It doesn't get better on the 10th one; it gets worse. So yeah, and then the teachers would get on it too. They're like, "Oh, Alvin and the Chipmunks." When I do attendance, I'm like, "Look at you're a teacher. The spelling is not the same. Stop trying to make it the same thing." Yeah, I started not liking the Chipmunks in the first couple of years until I'm like, you know what? I love them. They're cute. They're cuddly. And I embraced Alvin and the Chipmunks. And Alvin, the character in the show, is similar to what I was like as a kid. I was not Simon. I was, I'm probably closer to Theodore right now in terms of
A
physicality.
bit of Alvin, a bit of Theodore. You know, a little mix goes a long way.
If you squeeze the three Chipmunks together, they become a squirrel. That's what I was. Let's talk about the history of the show. It's not the show, but the history of the IP. It's been around for a while. I thought Scooby Doo was old. This is older than Scooby Doo.
I love that, there was a transition with this, and there was, it started out strong.
Thank you, Garth. Thank you.
There we go. I'll give you a little tidbit that I found. Just the height of popularity, the Christmas song that, what was it called again?
Hold on. To a Merry Christmas.
A hula hoop. Don't be late. So that came out in 58. Okay. And it was so popular. It became an overnight sensation and was super popular until the Beatles was introduced into America. That overshadowed the whole chipmunk kind of cartoon and popularity. So that's crazy. Can you believe that a cartoon and the music was overshadowed by the Beatles?
Yeah, it's crazy. So before that song was dropped, we have our main guy. Is it Ross? No, it's not Ross. What was his name?
I love how you tried turning that around on me because we were wondering how to pronounce his last name. Bagdarzarian. Bagdarzarian, and I'm sorry if I
Bagdazarin. I think it's Dazarin.
Yeah.
Bagdazarin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's senior. Don't forget it's senior because his son was junior.
Yeah.
Of the
Ross
same name.
But he had an alias name, and it's funny. His alias name is David Seville, which is the same David Seville actor in the character in the cartoons, because Dave is the dad, right? That takes in the three Chipmunks. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a stage name, or he was obviously a musician. He had a whole bunch of traits. He was a very talented person, very, very talented person. And so he created these guys with synthesizer. He basically sped up the recording, right?
Yeah, he bought a recording machine for $200 that allowed him to speed up and slow down the voices. And 6 months later, that gave us the Chipmunks and the release of the song Witch Doctor, which they used in the current movie. And I'm like, I have to admit, it's actually kind of good.
I wish we could play that.
I did not expect that. I know. But go search it and find it, and you'll realize that was the whole beginning of the popularity of not just the songs that were being written, it was also the voices. And, I really wish we were able to remember when you told me you wanted to do the Chipmunks, and I'm like, we need to get helium balloons for the opening. And I'm just thinking right now, we would not be able to get through this episode.
If people want, they just speed up the show, do it 2 times.
Oh, right. We can do it on here, but I wish we could do it live. That'd be
Take care,
so
Dar.
funny.
Take care. Oh my god. Can you imagine watching this at 2 times speed?
I might
You'll be
have to go
drinking
back
coffee
and
like
do
this.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's good. That's good. Yeah, let's get into more of this. So you got 3 characters:
Yes.
Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. You got Dave. Did you know they had a mother?
Somehow thinking back to the cartoon, there was something there, but I can't remember.
So they had a mother in the show, which was later added, and the story goes that she basically didn't have enough stored away nuts for the winter for the kids. Stop giggling. I knew it as soon as I said that you're gonna go down that road.
No,
Stop.
it's
Anyways,
it's a funny story.
yes, it is. Yes, about a mother struggling to look after her kids. How is that funny? So she
Okay, go on.
didn't think she had the ability to look after the 3 of them, and thought that they would probably starve to death because she didn't have enough food. So she actually in the winter dropped the kids off in front of Dave's house, and that's how the original story was of how those chipmunks were, adopted by Dave. And then later on, the chipmunks basically were annoying Dave or something. Something happened. I can't remember exactly, but they found out that they were not his kids. I'm like, really? You don't look
How
nothing
did you
like this
not
human.
know?
But it's a kid's show, right? So I mean, they're not gonna over complex this thing, right? They're like, what? We're not your kids. And so they set forward to look for their mother, and they found their mother. Right? They found their mother in the lore of it all. I don't remember that part at all. Do you remember it?
No, because that's like a
And
serious
the mom's name was
topic.
Vinny.
Hey, where are my nuts? You know.
Hey, come on, my cousin Vinny, huh? You know, we take care of you. But
Gonna get
that's how the
backlash
story
for
was,
that.
and I'm just like, wait, what? And so when they were about 8 or 9 years old, that's when they wanted to go look after their mom, right? To find their mom. So
It's interesting how, back in that time, a lot of it was like a parent couldn't take care of their kids, so they pass them along. And
you put them in a
why
little
is it
basket.
always? Yeah, it's like, never mind. I'm not going to go into that, but it's just
Sorry, correction. That were when they were 8 or 9 years old. That's when she dropped them off at Dave's house. That was the age.
Yeah, Mama's gonna go buy a pack of cigarettes. I'll be right back.
Oh God.
Okay, so
check, please.
Back to the. Okay, cool fact. Getting back onto the topic, did you know Elvin is actually based off a real chipmunk?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. So there was a time at the beginning of the creation of the Chipmunks. Ross was out on a drive, and as he's driving along the road, this chipmunk runs out on to the road. And he stops and he's looking at Ross coming towards him, and he's almost playing chicken. He's like egging him on, saying, "Come at me, bro." And that's actually where the personality of Alvin comes in, because he's so outspoken. He's the tough guy.
Well, he's also very aggressive, right?
He is. I'm like, and it's funny when you look at the way he used to talk to Dave. I know it was the comedic back and forth with him and Dave, a child talking back to the parent. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not his parent.
A child talking back to their parents? I don't know what that is like. My kids are angels. There should be stronger stuff in here.
But yeah, it's so cool, the creation and like I said, the evolution of this cartoon. Just kind of going back into the beginning. Uh, so we had the popularity of this show, and it was a cartoon on CBS for a time
It
being.
had very different, a lot of syndicate. Fox was as well on Fox as well.
Yeah,
They they appeared everywhere. They even appeared on a Thanksgiving parade. They appeared on Fox Football,
Jello
NASCAR.
commercials.
Yeah, like you name it, they were there. Like they were just such a huge IP in the 80's and 90's. And they're only a couple of years from being around for 80 years. Just think about that.
Yeah.
80 years.
Um,
That it's insane. It's
yeah.
insane. That family, no matter what, they're set for life because every 10 years they're gonna bring that show or that character's around.
You know, and that's a cool thing. I was watching a documentary that the son of Ross Sr. still has the original tape recorder that his dad bought. And
That's
it's
awesome.
just so cool. Yeah. But here's the cool thing. If you remember the opening where they're singing and you're like, it's been a while, but because we haven't seen them in a while. So, do you know how they got back into popularity?
No, do tell.
Here you go. So back in the 80's, I think it was 81, it was early 80's. A disc jockey was playing a song by Blondie and he sped it up, and that awoken the popularity of the chipmunk voice. And people were
Oh.
calling the radio station, when is the new Chipmunk album coming out? Where can I get the record? And that's what sparked the new creation, the updated, and the new cartoon for the mid to late 80's to come out. So how amazing is that? A disc jockey, all because he played a song and sped it forward to sound like a chipmunk.
That's insane. That's fate, right? That's destiny,
Right?
that's fate, that's moving along this amazing IP. It's crazy because when you go ask people right now about Alvin the Chipmunks, they just know the name, but they know very little about the actual history of it, right? That's what I
Yeah.
figured. Because if you ask anybody when did Alvin and Chipmunks start, they would say 80's. They would just say 80
Yeah.
because they resurfaced in the 80's. But when you go tell them, no, it's actually from 1955, and they're just like, what? And it was a musical. It wasn't animation. It just started off as music. Somebody sped up the tape. It's just like boom. Someone just like, I didn't even know that. I have no idea. And then
Yeah.
people don't realize they were comic book characters afterwards. They were comic, and then they went into the animation side of things. It wasn't like animation right away. It took a while to get to animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the last we've seen them was that CGI stuff. I didn't like that CGI movie.
Okay, so there's two movies. There's two different versions. There's one where they actually look like chipmunks,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was the one where they kind of intertwined how they look in the cartoon. That's creepy looking. If you
Yeah,
haven't seen images, go Google search the images. But I never got into the movie,
me neither.
you
For
know,
me, the highlight was the animation that
or
was in the
movies.
80's from 1983 to 1990.
Yeah,
7 years. And so I preferred that one. That was
that's a
my
lot.
7 years. Well, we talked about so many other shows that had like over 150 episodes, but they were only around for 3 years, right? Like there's so
Yeah.
many shows we've talked about. We're like, holy smokes! Look at how many episodes they did in such a short time. These guys are around for 7 years. So, I mean, that's a long time in the 80's to be around and be relevant.
Yeah.
And
And
ratings back then meant a lot. So the fact that they were there for 7 years shows that there was a big interest in them for 7 years to be around,
mhm.
because they would have kicked them off because of so many other things that they had going on. Fox, CBS, ABC, all these channels, they all had so many other content going around. They could have easily buried this thing in the dirt, right?
Yeah, I think because of the success, it solidified their place in our pop culture history. And, it's not only the cartoon that is popular and well it's known for.
Hmm.
Also, just think, because of that recorder and Ross playing around with the music and speeding it up, he also added to the music industry. And that is effing huge if you really think about it. He's taken something that sounds funny, but it also is like ear porn. Like, you want to listen to it again and again. And we got Cher for auto tuning. It's that, it's not just cartoon, it's not just what he created. It's like, this guy gave us so much that we see still to this day that's around us, and we might not know about it or even think about it.
Everybody loves anthropomorphic characters. We've got so many. You've
Teddy
got
Ruxpin.
gummy bears, Care Bear. I mean, I don't know why I'm just naming bears, but still, there's like a million bears. What's the other one? The one that Teddy, wasn't it? Teddy what?
Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin. That's it. Yeah, I remember that one. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. I thought
The raccoons.
the raccoons. Yes, yes, yeah. There's a lot of anthropomorphic characters, and people love that. They just love. I mean, even look at our brand that I forgot to put up.
I put it up. You
Oh,
just
you
took
did.
it down.
Oh, sorry. Is it up? Is it up again? There it is.
Yeah, it's
Right?
there.
Okay. But that's, like, people love that kind of stuff. And if you get it right, it could be a huge success for you in terms of merchandise. Right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the cool thing is, when you look back at the merchandise that first came out with the debut of Alvin and the Chipmunks, it's kind of creepy looking, which I like. But, it grew, and it actually grew from a cartoon and a sound before it got into, creating toys or ephemera for people to collect and play with.
So the show in that 7-year span actually did extend a little bit longer, but they introduced other characters. Did you know they had
Oh,
Did you know they had an uncle?
no, all I can think of is the rival band.
Well, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But they introduced an uncle, Uncle Harry,
Okay.
who may or may not have been a relative. What does that mean?
A relative to Dave or the
No, the
Chipmunks?
Chipmunks.
Harry. Was
Yeah.
it like Bigfoot?
No. Oh. It was Uncle Harry. He just showed up one day. You know how the 80s shows are. They opened the door, Uncle Harry's there, right? How many
Oh,
shows have done that
hey.
in the 80s?
Oh my god.
There's always an uncle, always, or an aunt.
Even
100%.
live like family
Yeah. Family
ties, and
Matters, Family Ties.
it's like, oh, the estranged sibling has shown up.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then the crowd
hi.
cheers. The studio audience cheers when the door opens.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Uncle Harry was introduced, and then they also introduced, which was the biggest thing, is see, this is how you introduce a male or female characters in the show without over or entrenching on the main characters. They introduced the Chipettes. Now
Yes.
they wanted to give the female audience their Chipmunks, because little girls love Chipmunks too, and they wanted to capitalize on that, and they did it in a smart way. They didn't make them come to the forefront. they made them complementary characters to the ones that already exist,
Yeah.
right? The Chipettes were do you remember their names?
No.
The
I,
Chipettes names were, if I can find it here, I had it on my list and I can't find it now, which is fantastic. Let me see here.
you know,
Brittany, Janet, and
and
Eleanor.
Whitney,
No, Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Yeah, Eleanor. These are all like 70s names. You named your kid.
I'm like, Eleanor, that just seems way too like, well, I guess because she was like the female version of Simon, the smart one. She had to have like a distinguished name.
So Brittany is a name that's still around. People still name their kids Brittany. Janet, not so much. Janet was maybe 80s, right?
It was like late
Janet
70s,
Jackson, like
80s.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Janet was big then. Jennifer was big then. Not so much now. I don't think kids are getting named that as much. Definitely not Eleanor. I have never met any Eleanor in my life. Have you?
No. No.
No, I've not met an Eleanor ever. So
I feel like the names nowadays is like, hey, this is my daughter Navajo and my son Justuna. It's like, where are
Apple,
you?
Ginger.
Here's Northwest.
Yes.
Wow, that's original.
Well,
Anyways,
it's his last name West, so Northwest. I thought it was pretty ingenious. At first, I'm like, why would they name? I'm like, oh, that's why, because his name
okay,
is
but you
West.
don't have a farmer and he has a kid and oh, here's Corn. This is my son Corn.
I don't know, man. We haven't been to Montana yet. Our show hasn't gone to Montana. It hasn't reached a Montana
Oh my
audience yet. If you're
god.
from Montana, let us know in the chats, comments, or let us know in the comments of the video. Do you what are some of the funniest names you've heard people name their kids? You can put
Yes.
celebrity names. Yeah, I want to hear what people have to say about some of the names they've approached in person, or if you've heard. I know Apple was Gwyneth Paltrow's kid.
Because she was the apple of her eye.
Make it a family nickname. Why do you need to name him officially that? In my
It's
family,
like,
my mom's side of the family, a
yeah.
lot of the kids, my cousins, all have nicknames. Every one of them. So because my mom's side of the family had a very big farm in where I'm from, and it was like acres and acres, and a lot of families lived in that whole acreage. We
Yeah.
had, I think, 6 families in there, and we had my grandmother had a big compound, and it wasn't nothing flashy or anything. We were still poor, but it was a farm, and all the kids had nicknames, every one of them. So
Which makes sense, when you have so many kids around or you work with so many people, it's like nicknames tend to happen.
it's fun.
Yeah. Did you know what her middle name was?
Who?
Apple?
No.
It's Sauce.
Macintosh?
Sauce.
Oh God.
Applesauce Peltro.
That kid is not gonna like their mother.
I'm like, let's name my kid something that he's going to grow up to hate me for.
You should
It's like,
name your kid Christopher with the K.
no, I'm like, if I have a boy, I'm gonna call it Pizza Pop because I love those. And
If you have a kid, I will literally fall on the floor and never get up. I can't see you with the kid. I can see you
no,
looking after other people's kids. You?
that
I don't know.
yeah, I have a cat, and that is all I can deal with.
So the characters Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, they have the traits. Alvin is the abrupt and rudish, aggressive chipmunk. Simon is the Donatello, shall we say, the intelligent, smart,
Smart one.
nerdy chipmunk, and then you have Theodore, the what's it called?
Food loving
A
chipmunk.
foodie
Yeah.
guy. A foodie guy loves to cook,
I
and so
love
he's
his laugh.
oh
He
yeah,
was always the one who would laugh.
so
And I'm
cute,
like,
so cute,
that's what I loved about him. And yeah,
so cute. Um, did you know they're triplets?
I could have guessed that if you asked me, but knowing is half the battle. Wink. There you go.
Wrong show. Alvin is 5 minutes older than Simon, so he's the oldest. Um, no mention of, but obviously Theodore is the youngest.
Yeah.
Of the three of them, who's your favorite?
Honestly, I have to choose Theodore because I don't know. I just feel like I can relate to that.
He's a cutie.
I know. I have that in common. Um,
I walked into that one.
yeah, you did.
Woo! Leave the dad jokes to me, okay? Leave the dad jokes.
No, no. He was just like he was like no man's land. He would follow what was going on. He'd always be like the one laughing or eating, and I don't know. He would be the one like I don't know what it is about him. Like Alvin was too rebellious, and maybe I could.
Gosh, I'm blushing.
You are not a rebel.
Oh, come on. You should talk to my mom.
Yeah, and then Alvin, Simon, I couldn't relate to because he's like a book nerd. If he was like a collectible nerd, then I could relate. But yeah, Theodore was probably my favorite. Who was yours?
By default, I had to go with Alvin because if I don't, it's like the end of the world. If I don't, people are like, what? How can you like the other ones? Your name is literally the same. I'm like, it's not the same. So Alvin would be probably my choice. I do like Theodore, probably a close second. Did you know that in 2015, the CGI movie, they changed their birthdays and made it all different? Why would they do that? I don't understand. Like, what's wrong with triplets?
So, in that sense, like, it was such a, to me, and like the way I think, it's such a pointless thing to change. Like, why do you have to change that? What point are you trying to make? Where are you trying to take these characters and giving them?
It's a petty change. It's really a petty thing. Why do you need to mess around with something like that? Nobody cares.
And if you're doing it because of their personality differences, that still works if they're triplets. They're not all going to be the same. They're going to be the same.
I have a friend of mine who has
Yeah.
twins, and their characteristics are so different from each other. They're not the same. They look the same, but they don't act the same.
I feel like in the time we're living right now, it's all about being politically correct. And I'm just like, no, it's a fantasy movie. It's not real. You don't have to make everything so correct and so realistic. I get that you're trying to bring a cartoon into realistic, but it still follows under fantasy science fiction when you really think about it. I would like to see a movie where, you know, maybe a mad scientist creates the chipmunks.
So here are some of the awards that they have won. They won a Grammy Award in 1959. They won multiple Emmy Awards from 1985 to all the way up to 1988.
Wow.
They have also have a Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I did not know that.
Yeah, in 2019, earned a star on Hollywood Walk of Fame.
What?
That's insane.
That is awesome.
When you get, I know people make fun of that stuff and say some of these people don't deserve it on that. That's not for anyone to judge. You just go on the merit of what they've done, and a lot of people vote on it, and then they pick it. So for me, I think they deserve that because of how long they've been around for. Like I just mentioned, almost 80 years in existence and still
Yeah.
relevant to this day, right? So yeah, 2019 earned a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That is so awesome.
That is cool. And you know what? There's going to be haters, but those are the people who don't look at the history and the creation of the the whole sensation of Elvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah.
It goes back. It's earned its right to be as popular as it is, and they've earned their star on the Walk of Fame. Because let's face it, it did start out as music and then
Mhm.
it came into a cartoon. So, you
Yeah, I mean, you
know,
can say it. They won a Grammy, right? Like what? How many
cartoon.
animation
Yeah,
IPs have won a Grammy for their work?
seriously.
Very little, right? They've also won countless Kids' Choice Awards, countless, right?
Yeah.
And that's important because if you're doing a kids show, that is the goal that you want to set to. You want to win the Kids' Choice Award because that's like the Academy Award for kids products, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they won multiple awards all the way up to like 2012. So
Oh,
all the way up to
wow.
2012, they were winning awards. I mean, the list is endless of so many other awards they've won, right? So if the goal is to be good, winning kids awards multiple times is the bar that you want to be at all the time. That's the top,
Yeah.
right? And they obliterated it and won so many times. So yeah, it's pretty cool about the stuff they won, and I want to actually go to that Hollywood Walk when they find it. I wonder where. I'm sure there's a map to tell you where each walk is at.
Oh God, yeah.
Each
Because
star. Yeah,
there's so many. And
yeah,
you know what? If anyone watching, if you know of another cartoon that ended up being on Hollywood
yeah.
Walk of Fame, let us know. We would like to know. And if we haven't covered that show yet and it's
Mm.
part of 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, we'll look into it.
They also have done national anthems. They've done "America the Beautiful" at the LA Dodgers game. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they did that. So they've also done it at NASCAR. Like I mentioned
Jesus.
earlier, NFL Sunday, they've done that. Um, they were in an Italian commercial.
My God.
uh, I don't know what was a cheesemaker. There it is, cheesemaker from Italy. So they did that. Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, they did that, which is, I think it's a lock. A show, characters like Alvin and Chipmunks, it's a lock to be at a parade, right?
Especially that parade, the Thanksgiving Day parade. That's huge.
When you make it there, you made it. You've made it.
Everywhere. Yeah. And you know, the smart thing, I think the reason why they're so successful, and animals are cute. And it's not just Alvin and Chipmunks. We've seen it with Care Bears, Winnie the Pooh. People love animals. And
Winnie the Pooh. Sorry to cut you off there.
no, 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 go.
Winnie the Pooh and the characters were my comfort food when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It comforted me when I was a kid. So I have a very, very a special spot for Winnie the Pooh and the whole, Peter Robin, Peter Robin. What the Christopher? Do not clip that. Uh,
Oh,
Peter Rabbit.
Robin.
That's another
Yeah.
one. Peter Rabbit. Sorry, that's what I
Yeah.
was trying to. My mind was going to two different places. You could see it literally splitting.
You know what?
Yeah,
I think
Peter
I'm gonna
Rabbit.
be Peter Robbins next year for Halloween. Just incorporate the two. Oh, that is
Also,
so good.
I want to mention that because of this recording technique, we got some. They used some of this technique for the Wizard of the Oz.
Oh, what?
They used it for Daffy Duck, Sylvester the Cat. So they use some of these techniques to create those movies or characters.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for Ross Senior's imagination, would we still have it nowadays? Maybe, but we probably wouldn't have got it at such an early date. You know,
Yeah.
he really paved the way for music, cartoons, voices. It's the voices that really bring a character to life. And he knew what he was doing, and it wasn't a mistake. He had it in mind that, what if we sped up the voice? What if we slowed down a voice?
Yeah.
It gave us what we love and enjoy today, and what we'll have for the future.
The song Chipmunk song that you mentioned, it catapulted. Um, it went like a rocket up the charts, and it became really popular because also the fact is they performed it on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1959. So that only fueled to just get hot. It became the hottest song in 1959. Like it was just star, right?
It was crazy because when Ross created it, he wrote it in 1958. And, at the time, Christmas music before Christmas being out was kind of cliche, but he's like, no, let's release it now. And people ate it up.
So you have Ross, who is a musician. He's also has other abilities. When he had the idea of making an animation, he didn't just go to some place and say, "Hey, let's make an." He actually created an animation studio.
Oh,
He made his own animation company to do this. That takes dedication. That takes guts. That's when you know you have a vision in place. Like he knew, writing on the wall. He's like, "What's the next evolution of this? I've done the music with these guys. I've done the comic book. Let's get to animation." Right?
yeah.
And those kind of bravery thinking is how you get these iconic IPs. A lot of the shows that we've talked about this year and last year, they don't get made unless you have somebody out there going, I have a vision, I know where this is going to go, and let's do this. Right?
Yeah.
So I got to give a hats off to this guy. I think in the grand scheme of things here, I think he's one of the most important people for kids in the last 80 years to have
Mhm.
something like this last that long and have an influence. And even to this day, during Christmas, people will play the Christmas song. As
It's
annoying
like,
as it is for me, because my kids will play it on a loop forever. And then my wife will be on the other side playing the Mariah Carey on a loop forever.
see, that's the smart thing. When you create a song that, it's like George Michael's song,
Which one?
the Christmas one. Uh,
You can look it up.
Come on. What? How did I forget this? Oh my God. I'm terrible. I guess it's because I put myself on the spot.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do that. I will look it up for you.
Last Christmas.
Okay.
Like George Michael, Mariah Carey,
Christmas.
Yeah, please don't.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
George
Somebody's
Michael.
in a terrible mood.
I'm on my second cup of coffee. Leave me alone. George Michael, Mariah Carey, Chipmunks are probably the top three iconic Christmas songs that you obviously know right away. Not just who it is, it's because it's so ingrained in hearing it every single year. It's like clockwork. It's not Christmas unless you hear one of these songs or all three of them.
Yeah, definitely. Mariah Carey's made a career out of it after her career went out of it. From just from this song alone. Like every holiday time, her song gets played everywhere. And if you have a royalty built into, which they do for a lot of these songs for radio stations, how much money is she making in November and December?
Oh God, it's unfathomable.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I love the lead up. Like right after Halloween, there's this video out there that I seen on Instagram, and it's like Halloween characters. The vault door opens up, and they got like blow dryers thawing out Mariah Carey, and there's a new one this year that you'll appreciate. It's Rita Repulsa coming out of the canister, and it's her face on there, and I'm like,
awesome.
yes.
That's awesome. I just saw one the other day and I posted in our Discord. Is it Michael Myers, the guy with the mask,
Oh, yes.
with the coveralls? Yeah, he just comes and kicks down the stereos.
Oh no, I
You didn't
see
see that one? No,
No, I will go
it's in
see
it's in our
that.
Discord. It's on our
Okay.
Discord in the
But
general.
there's another one where it's a Michael Myers face and it slowly transitions into Mariah Carey. Because someone ruined it like 2-3 years ago, where someone posted a side by side and the Michael Myers masks.
The mask that behind you.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Mariah Carey and how she looks now with just like the cheek definition. And I'm like, God dang it. Now I can't watch that movie without seeing like Mariah Carey, you know.
I was actually made fun of 2 weeks ago on our Monday night show because we were talking about the famous Halloween characters, and I
Yes.
always forget his name because I always get him mixed up with Jay. I'm not a fan of, you know that, right? I know you are. Like, I go to
Yeah.
you for information if I have to, but they were making fun of me on the live chat because I'm like, that guy with the mask and sword, or sorry, dagger or knife, and he's like, you mean Michael Myers? I'm like, yeah, that guy, and everyone's just
Oh
like,
my
what?
God.
How do you not know this guy? I'm like, come on, give me a break.
Cool fact on the topic of Halloween. In the first movie, Dana Carvey has a very short extra in that movie as one of the news people in the background. And if you don't know who Dana Carvey is, swing. He was in Wayne's World and SNL.
And if you don't know what Wayne's World is, oh my god,
Go watch it. Like, what
Pardon
am I
me.
gonna do with a gun rack? I don't even own a gun.
Pardon me. Do you happen to have any Grey Poupon? That was my favorite. I love that because
And the
I
whole
actually wanted to know what a Grey Poupon was. It turned out to just be mustard.
there's so many iconic things in that movie, especially the Bohemian Rhapsody in the car.
Oh, iconic, iconic.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about on this thing? I just think, like, honestly, like, it's one of these shows that is a pop culture icon, a legend in the pop culture world. I mean, 1958 to present day, and I guarantee you, one of these streaming services is gonna make an Alvin and the Chipmunks, or they call it the Chipmunks, and have. I just wish that if they do make something new, put the Chipettes and the Chipmunks in there, but gradually bring the Chipettes in there, because at the end of the day, people will agree with me or not, Alvin and the Chipmunks moves the needle, not the Chipettes. But they are great complementary characters to add in there into the story. And if you're doing a streaming service, don't woke it up, please. Don't try to put the Chipettes as the front and center. People are not going to watch that. They want to come and watch Alvin and the Chipmunks because they've been around longer. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Right?
And honestly, keep it like how they did the Adam West Batman, where I used to watch that show and I got excited because this is the one thing I loved about the show. At the end, if you see the Batgirl motorcycle go by, you know she was in the episode. So having them sprinkled in there, it's a good thing, you know, and it's hard to, what we want from fan view of the perfect remake or reboot of a cartoon is never going to match what production companies will put out there, because again, you got to keep in mind everything's got to be politically correct, and
everything has to be diverse, inclusive, and which is fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to shoehorn it in for the sake of it.
Yeah, no. And I feel like that's what they do too much nowadays. Again, when you have a recipe for something good, don't change it. How can you add to it?
Yeah. Complement it, but keep the core to its original, because that's what got you here. You know,
exactly.
Like Alvin the Chipmunks at its core is what has been around for 80 years. Don't change that, because then you're fundamentally changing that core, which then will devalue that franchise's history, right? That's the best way I could put it. So I would love to see them bring it back in a cartoon form. I think it'd be good on a streaming platform like Netflix or HBO Max. And I think it'd be eventually you bring into season 2, you bring in the Chipettes, which will really further that show and give it probably another couple more seasons. And then you can kind of like continue that into the next 10 years, right? And really get the show to maybe 100 years. That would be unprecedented to have an IP 100 years going strong, right?
And, you know, to add on top of a reboot, you know what I would like to see in a perfect world? Because they're based mostly off music and life lessons, which is great. Start bringing in music history. Talk about how jazz influenced pop rock and then so and so forth. Like this could be a history lesson as well as life lessons. You know, they have so much to work with within that genre. And to make that a cartoon, you don't see anything like that nowadays. You see documentaries, yes, but teach it to kids who are going to watch this and being like, oh my God, jazz music. Jazz music has influenced so much.
The Simpsons, Lisa.
Yeah. And so I think that would be a great reboot and remake of Alvin and the Chipmunks, you know?
Yeah.
Do music lesson, because honestly, with the way the world is going, music kind of seems to be like, eh. And this could create something all new that we've never heard before. So be open to the possibilities that, you know, this is going to expand. And like you said, go longer for 100 years, keep it relevant. And, you know, they could really make something with this show if they do it right.
There's 2 more things I wanted to add. They also had a concert tour in 1984, 1985, 2008, and 2015.
Oh, jeez.
They also had 4 video games.
They had video games?
1990, 2007, 2009, and 2011. They were on Nintendo DS, the Wii, PlayStation 2, and Microsoft Windows. Xbox 360, and I can't remember. Oh, and Tiger Electronic Game, which was like, you know, those portable black and white ones when we were kids?
Yes.
So they had 4 different video games as well.
Nice.
And they also had action figures, which I couldn't find information on it, but I remember seeing some action figures. They weren't as very articulated. I'm surprised nobody's picked up the action figures.
You never know. Let's just
like NECA. Like NECA would be a great place.
Did you see? Okay, NECA is great, but I feel like they've kind of stepped back a little bit. I noticed recently that Mondo is now doing The Thing. Kurt Russell's character from The Thing. It looks amazing, and I had the NECA, and it's just.
I have some. So speaking of Mondo, I know we're a bit off topic here, but it's fine. It's connected. Mondo does 1/6 scale, which is their 12-inch line, right? That's what they're known for. They have done the X-Men, which look fantastic. The latest one was Omega Red. It looks amazing. I don't do those as much because it just takes up a lot of space. But the one line that I did pick up on was the He-Man line. And I got to tell you, the She-Ra, the He-Man, the best 1/6 scale figures I've ever bought.
And also to add to Mondo, you're not just getting a figure. It is very, very deluxe. Like you get so many accessories where you really get to play up. And it's great because they're in between our classic 6 to 8-inch figures. They're a bit taller. You can see a little more of the detail. Customizers love it. But like I feel with Mondo, I don't have any Mondo just because I know that's one black hole that I don't want to go into.
Well, I got Battle Cat. And he's like this big.
That's
and
crazy.
So beautifully designed, black washed, just amazing looking. Like it's the centerpiece. I'm gonna have it displayed probably on one of these shelves here, but it's looks fantastic. And then I've got He-Man sitting on it. I am praying. No, they've also announced Panther. Panther is coming.
Are they going to flock him?
I'm not going to say anything right now.
It's called flocking.
Yes, yeah. I know.
Which, if you don't know what that means, it's where it has that furry.
It does.
It's what they did to, yeah.
So I've got Skeletor already. I've got Faker. You know Faker? You remember Faker?
Yes, the orange and blue dude.
I've got Hordak. I've got She-Ra, obviously. I am praying they make the unicorn from She-Ra. Please, 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 please. Because that's the only thing I've never, ever owned from any figure line that I wanted. They've never made a She-Ra horse, right?
They did. They
didn't make anything modern right now, recently. Yeah. They made a million Battle Cats, right? From the last 20 years. Because I get it. Battle Cats sells, blah, blah, blah. But please, Mondo, just make the horse. Because I need all my characters to be on their vehicles. And Hordak with his little jet thing that he had, right? That little hovering thing.
You know, I would actually freak out if Mondo did, because we see it quite often nowadays of Castle Grayskull. I would really love to see a revamped version of the Crystal Castle from She-Ra.
Oh, because man, it'd be expensive.
It would be expensive, but there'd be people out there, do it like how they've been doing it in the past. You have pre-orders and you make to order,
the Battle Cat was $500.
Yeah, but it's worth it, isn't it?
And it's sold out.
Yeah.
It's sold out. There's an appetite for it.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I'm waiting for them to announce this horse, because I will lose my mind, because that means now all four have their sorry, 3 of the 4 will have their vehicles. And if they sell the horse really well, I'm sure they're going to get Hordak's hovering vehicle as well. But I don't want just He-Man and Skeletor to have it. I want the other two. I'm praying they do that, because it would be so epic to have He-Man on his Battle Cat and She-Ra next to him on her steed, or whatever you want to call it.
Spirit.
Spirit. There you go. Sorry, Spirit. Yeah. It will be amazing. It just please give me that. So they made a mistake, by the way. They forgot to send me the proper She-Ra head, or they had an issue with the She-Ra head. Sorry. They emailed me and said, hey, listen, we got an issue with the head that we sent out to all of you guys about She-Ra. We're going to send you a new head. You keep that one. We'll send you another one free of charge. And they sent it to me within 10 days.
Nice.
That's customer satisfaction and caring about they didn't have to do it, because I didn't even care. I'm like, I got 3 of them, so what do I care? But they're like, no, we made a mistake on one of them. We didn't do it up to our standard. We're going to send you another one.
That's really good.
Yeah. We veered off topic, but that's okay. This was a good show. Is there anything else you want to add to this one?
No, I think I might have to go.
You could sing for us, but I know you won't.
No, because then I'd have to charge you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's how it works. This was fun. We'll be back in 2 weeks to do another topic. This time it's going to be your turn to pick one, so looking forward to seeing what you're going to be picking.
Yeah.
We should do a Christmas something. What that is, I don't know.
Oh, we could do the Christmas He-Man and She-Ra special.
That might work.
I know we've touched on He-Man and...
That's okay. We can go back to the episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do a couple. Like, you could pick one and I'll pick one. We'll do a couple of Christmas specials. They were a thing. Oh my God. And there's so many to choose from. Jesus. So we'll pick a couple each, and we'll just kind of skim over what they were about. And, we'll talk about that during Christmas time. That's in December. We're still in November right now. So we got lots to go. We're still going to have a couple more episodes before we do our Christmas stuff. But I want to thank everybody for watching our video. We really appreciate it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, show us some love. Let us know in the comment sections what shows you would like us to talk about that we haven't done. Feedback is very important to us, or maybe an specific episode. So we would love to hear from you guys. It will give us some ideas to do more shows down the road. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. And if you're new here, show us some love. show Chris love, show me some love, hit the like button, and come in on for our journey. Every 2 weeks, we do a show from the past. It is a blast. With that, we want to say take care and bye-bye and have a good day. Say bye, Chris.
Bye, guys.